Alrighty, so welcome back to another video. Hi, we're gonna talk about our dating life today. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're gonna get into it. Now, I think I'm rather tame. Honestly, I know I'm rather tame. My last serious relationship was in 2014. I haven't had like that type of connection with anybody in a really long time. So, yeah, we're just gonna kind of break it down and just like how cursed it is to try to date people as a trans person. Um, and then like kind of like the social media aspect into it a little bit as well. So basically, yeah, since I started transitioning, early on, I was thinking like, oh wow, this is like so much better for me and my own mental health, right? But like, I was also thinking like, oh, this is gonna add a lot of like difficulty to my potential dating life. Now, I was a fat kid before then. I was 240 pounds, and I never had like any sort of relationship in school. I saw school kids, in whatever little fling kind of thing. But like moving forward, it's like, okay, now we're like at our own place. We had an apartment for a while, and just like trying to like figure it out. It was really kind of difficult. I was trying to like meet guys on Craigslist. I didn't know how to like find anybody. There was kind of like this one kind of sweet guy that took me to a 300 movie. It was the second one. But he was a little bit awkward. He's a little bit quirky, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, it was a different experience, right? And he was like 26 and I was like 21 at the time, I think. Yeah, so like I mean, so like yeah, we're gonna get into all of it. I completely forgot about this until just like bringing this topic up. So like as far as like dating goes, it's really difficult when you have your own preferences. So like for me, I don't like cis guys, I don't like cis girls. Like that much at all. There's times that I think that I like cis guys. And by the way, when I say cis, it's not a derogatory term. It's within the trans community to be like, that is a guy, a male at birth guy that never changed their pronouns. And same thing with women. It's like, whenever we refer to each other, or we're talking about like trans women or trans men, we just call them guys and girls because that's what they are to us. Like literally, that's what they are. So like, sorry if you don't agree, but moving on. Cis girls, just are kind of full of themselves. They seem like a little bit too much. I mean, and I don't mean to like lump everybody into like one checklist box kind of thing, because I know that happens a lot within the trans community as well, that it's like, oh, trans people, but then like people meet me and they're like, what, you're trans? And it's like, well, like what? Yeah, like I'm not even like, comparative to like a lot of other girls, I'm not even that hot, I feel like, or I'm not even that like good looking or whatever. I definitely have like, I have my good days, I guess, but like there's days that I do not like, I do not look good at all, right? So yeah, back to the dating life stuff. So like freaking yeah, I got in like a kind of a serious relationship with this other trans girl at the time, and in 2014 as well, I think 2014, um into 2015. And that ended like so poorly that like I just kind of didn't seek out anything. I needed therapy because of how bad it ended, kind of thing. It was just a really bad end, and it wasn't their fault. It was my parents not understanding and just really kind of being horrible about the situation, to say the least. um but like yeah, so like I haven't like really like branched out and tried to find somebody since then as much. So like I met this person on Facebook, and it was, again, like the only serious relationship I think I've ever had ever. Like I've had a couple friends here and there, and the kind of curse that goes on within the trans community is that like you want to like have friends, but like you don't want to like push it over like the comfort range, right? It's good to have friends. It's good to have friends. I mean, it's nice to have friends throughout life. Unfortunately, I'm speaking from the experience of somebody that has just seen it through the lens of like other people experiencing it, because like I try to make friends, and it's really difficult whenever you're trans and you're not living in the city. I live on the outskirts of like an hour away from Pittsburgh, right? So I'm not like right in the city. There aren't any doctors that do like hormone stuff around here. So like the trans girls around here typically are struggling a little bit more. They have like difficulty like getting to get their labs checked, to get their blood work, to get their hormones, to like be consistent with their actual care. So like I get to see that firsthand and like how taxing that is to somebody that's just trying to like take care of themselves and just trying to be themselves. And so they deal with like this extra struggle if they can't make that happen. I'm fortunate enough that like I've been consistent enough with my labs and everything, and while my levels haven't always been perfect, I can take care of it. But anyway, given the area that I'm in, I don't have other trans people, and I know for myself, I feel like dating another trans woman's like ideal just because we get each other. We don't have as many like odd questions or whatever. It's not as awkward. It's like we experience the same but different kind of experience. And then it's like it's just a personal preference thing. And like some people would say, oh, that's just being gay with extra steps. I'm doing this to be happy at being myself kind of thing. And I think that's the case with like a lot of other trans women. Now, like when I see on social media that like there's trans girls that are in poly situations, I get it, right? Like I get like wanting to have a connection with a group of people that you can feel close with, that because like you've probably been wronged a lot in your life. You've probably had people disown you. You want to have like a connection. You want to be able to have people that rely on each other. Unfortunately, I see like poly things not ever really working out in the long term, but like it seems like it probably would be like fun, kind of awesome, whatever, in like the short term situation, right? And then I also observe something else that like I really hate the idea of. I hate the concept that this is something that comes up in my head, that with like T for T relationships, that I feel like they don't work in the long term. I feel like you can kind of see eye to eye at some point, but then like after a while, it ends up becoming this thing that it's like, okay, we can't actually really get along, or like there's just something that goes on within the relationship that it just kind of puts a damper on things. Or yeah, it's just like it's hard to explain, but like I don't often see it like work out in the long term, and I wish I did. And like societally, we have so much extra stress and pressure, and we have to pass for people, and then like all these extra steps. But like whenever it comes down to it, it's like I don't want to have to get surgeries just to like make other people happy that I'm me. I want to be able to be me, to be me. Like I think I'm, pretty well off how I am. I do have a surgery scheduled in a month, and it's more personal preference, like just get this out of the way while it's covered kind of thing. And but at the same time, it's like you shouldn't have to like be pressured to do certain surgeries, and then like everybody does have their own preference. Like I know that there are like trans people that are like, well, like it shouldn't matter like what's in your pants kind of thing, but like everybody has like preferences too. So it's like it really kind of doesn't whenever it comes down to like personal connection. But like in reality, if somebody's going to like get an operation and they're going to get like sexual reassignment surgery kind of thing, the other person might not totally agree with that. Or like, what if both girls want to get sexual reassignment, and then it ends up being like not the right fit anymore? So there's like a pipeline of like what you could potentially go down whenever you're transitioning, and like how you want to do it. To each their own. I'm not bashing anybody for doing any sort of transition any certain way that they do it, right? But I feel like it is a lot easier for the trans women that are in the cis guys, because then you have a consistency. You're not disappointed with like how somebody else is going about their way. If they stop taking their medication, you wanted to date a trans woman, they end up trying to revert back to like being you can never really go back to being a cis guy, by the way, if you start hormones and you stop kind of thing. But like there's like a lot of like little niches and like headspace kind of thing, and like then that all plays into the everything else that everyone already has to deal with. Is this person like mentally stable? Is this person like a substance abuser? Does this person have good hygiene? Does this person are they reliable? Do they listen? Do they actually like have good feedback kind of thing? Is there like positive output into the relationship, or are they just dragging you down kind of thing? It's literally everything else. So it ends up becoming this extra layer. But not only that, on top of that extra layer, there's another extra layer, and that's that we're so sporadic, that there's not that many trans women around, like that there's not, like within my area at least, that it's very hard to like meet somebody and to like have a solid connection. Everybody's unique, everybody's different. And just because like I'm into other trans women doesn't mean I'm into every trans woman, right? So I've been very reserved as far as it comes with like other people, right? So like I can get along with others, I can like have conversation, I like to be helpful, but ultimately it usually ends up that I don't actually want a relationship after hanging out with somebody enough times or like really figuring it out, like just really thinking it through. A recent example, there's this absolute sweetheart that has a really decent job. They have their own house, they have their life together, right? And given like my living situation, they're so much better off. They're in such a better place than me. And like the financial freedom would absolutely be relieving for somebody like me that hasn't had much to work with for so long. Kind of scraping by, but my instinct with everything was like, we can just be friends, we can just like see how it goes, maybe we could get into a relationship. And we've hung out like 4 or 5 times now, and at this point I've gotten to the point that it's like, if this isn't going to work out, I just want to be friends kind of thing. Like I don't know for sure if I want a relationship. And so the last time that we hung out, I kind of like realized that they weren't exactly listening to me. I had a nasal injury recently. It was 2 months ago, but like at the time it was about a month in. And like I let them know, like I don't want to hang out with like certain other people just because I'm scared that they might hurt my nose. I don't want to like, and I don't want to meet, and I want somebody to like understand, like, hey, just be, not like, gentle with the nose or anything. But like I had her come over and do makeup for me, which was nice and it was sweet. And she got me like a little makeup brush thing, sponge, and like a blush thing. But like then she just started like doing my nose like really heavily with the padding thing, and just totally didn't hear anything about the nose. Like we had a conversation earlier that day about the nose, and it's like, she's a sweetheart, but she's not listening. So I just don't think it's gonna work. And I need somebody that can hear what I'm saying. And I've had other people in my life. There's another girl that I potentially could have gotten into like a poly thing with, but I'm not really into that. And while she's sweet as well, she's like kind of like a little bit of a MacGyver and she puts things together. She just isn't like the right fit for me, right? And again, she just doesn't totally listen. But like she's a sweetheart. She's somebody that I'm absolutely willing to hang out with. I'm absolutely willing to do what I can for. And I think both of them need a better like friend base. I think they both need more friends in their life. They need more support. They both have like a similar situation that their parents aren't exactly the best. Like it's kind of an ongoing trend with trans people, right? So there's that. I've met, and I was counting it, not last year, in I guess it was like 2024 to 2025. Within those 2 years, I met, I think it was like 15 or 16 trans girls and like a few trans guys. I think it was like 6 trans guys or something like that. I've asked out a few people in public. I thought they were trans. My bad. Listen, this is why I say like trans policies, whenever you go against trans people, it's also affects like everyone else, because like I wouldn't have known that there weren't trans if I didn't know, like, so like until I talked to them, right? But yeah, I asked out this one girl and like I went and got sushi with them. I had makeup on and it just didn't work out. Like it was just like, okay, like we were friends. We kind of hung out a lot, but then she ended up moving out of state. And then she just kind of ghosted me. And so like whenever stuff like that happens too, I get a little bit in my head about it. But like she was with like everyone. It wasn't just me. It was literally everyone in the area. So it's like, okay, I can't hold this too personally, right? There's another girl that is, again, another sweetheart. She had like a really cute like Powerpuff Girl jacket and everything, and I thought she was male to female, but she was female to male, but she had to stop her medication because of an autoimmune condition. So it ended up becoming like, I care that she was going through a lot, and we just haven't really hung out though. And I get that she's they're going through like what they're going through, right? I say she just because like she couldn't take her medication after like a year. But yeah, so they preferred being on testosterone, and I wish they could continue that route, but like there was like an allergic reaction going on. So unfortunately they had to kind of like cut it short. Or I don't know if it was an allergic reaction, but their body wasn't reacting well with it. So there's like all of those things at play. The issue that I have is like I'm not like, so like, okay, for me, I'm not religious. I'm not like a cat person. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I do the Herbagewans medically whenever I could. Since the nose injury, I can't again. Now that I have the surgery coming up too, it's like not in the cards. But just like trying to hang out and meet people and like socialize and everything, it's something that I come off as like largely boring to other people because it's like I don't do anything, right? I just, and then like I have like my own health conditions that also make me very much in my head, that really depress me, honestly. If I'm being totally honest, I put on a face. I feel like I got a little bit of a Robin Williams situation going on, that like, hey, I can be kind of funny and entertaining and goofy with people or whatever, but at the same time dealing with like some serious like depression stuff. And so like I do therapy stuff, and there like I can get things in check with myself, and I understand where I am. I know what I want, and I know who I am, and I feel like I have a lot more figured out than a lot of people. And I feel like I've had that figured out for a very long time. Whenever dating like with trans women that start hormones, like they were 32 and they started hormones like a year ago, or like situations like that, I'm just always kind of like, why did it take them so long? Like I don't fully understand it, but like I'm willing to talk it through with others, and like I'm not like coming from a malicious place when I say that. And then there have been instances where I tried to date guys. Like there's been multiple times when I was working out consistently in 2024 that it's like, hey, I want to try to date a guy. I mean, like I wouldn't be opposed. I want to just feel small, cute, and it's just hard enough to like meet somebody that's like on the same wavelength as you, or just like that's actually going to be serious about things. And so through my own experiences, I've realized like, hey, guys will just butter you up to like try to get what they want. Unfortunately, I've had some of these instances where like, hey, this guy really wanted to like be in a thing with me, it seemed like. We went out to eat a couple times. He gave me chocolates after the one visit. He gave me a nice big hug the one time. It was really cute. After we went out to eat the second time, he wanted me to sit in his car with him, and I just kind of hugged him and held him, whatever, and like it was nice. It seemed nice, right? Then we went back to his place, and then they started telling me that they had a ex that they missed, and like they were a mechanical engineer. Like that was why I was like into them, because like I'm attracted to like intellectual types, I feel like, more than anything else. Somebody that can actually like accomplish certain goals, or like has like bigger aspirations. Somebody that's actually like accomplishing things in a unique way usually is something that like kind of tickles a certain fancy for me, right? So then I find out, yeah, he has a girlfriend that he wants to get back with. He sent me like this fake text of like, oh, whatever. And it wasn't actually sent. And it was like, obviously him being the one sending it to like maybe a dummy account or something, rather than receiving the message. I'm not dumb, right? So it's just, upsetting that was like my first experience with a guy again after all these years. So like that's where I'm kind of at with like my dating life. It's just like I want somebody that has their stuff together. It would be awesome if somebody had their finances in order. That doesn't have to be like a thing. There have been multiple girls that have made approaches to me that have like a fair amount of money. Like the one girl was making like $140,000 a year. It would be amazing. It would absolutely help out. But I can't commit to something like that just to use somebody for their resources, if that makes sense. Like I know that like a lot of people would. And I can't. I'm not that type of person. There's been a girl that made even more money than that and kept just thinking that like the reason why we weren't dating was because like because they weren't white, and because they, and it literally had nothing to do with that, and they kept like being like, you need like to like decide, are we in a relationship or are we not? And it's like, can we like hang out in real life like once before that? Like we talked a few times on video and stuff, and it just seemed like they needed a relationship before like we could even hang out. And like, yeah, I had surgery coming up with the upper facial feminization stuff, and they were willing to let me like recover at their house. But it ended up being like, yeah, they smoke, they drink. It wasn't like a great fit with that. They're older than me. They've already lived their life. They've already done like everything they wanted to accomplish in life. They've had multiple relationships with other trans women, and they know like what they want, and they know how they want it. And like, I'm still just trying to figure that out. I know that's like a lot to like digest for somebody, especially whenever it's like, oh, but you're 34. You definitely have to know like what your like preferences are. And to a certain extent, I think I do. But at the same time, if I can't explore that, and if I can't find the right people to actually do that with, then I can't like act on it, if that makes sense. So it's been a lot of like a funky headspace. Now, as far as like the girls around here go, like, yeah, it's difficult because like I've said, there's like the umbrella kind of terminology of like a trans woman. It's like, if you're not consistently taking your medications, if you're not like, you know, taking care of your mental health, there's a lot to like. I don't mean to say, I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little bit scrambled with my thoughts here. There's just so much that I'm trying to like cover, I guess. The girls around here have, you know, their own preferences, and like if they drink, if they vape, if they whatever, XYZ. It's like I said, whenever it comes to dating, there's already like enough that you kind of have to factor in. So like with, you know, trans people dating, we don't have to worry about kids in the future unless you're like freezing embryos or like, you know, everything else with that whole process. And I didn't do that. So like I already thought like, hey, if I can hardly take care of myself, how am I going to be able to take care of somebody else? It's not something that I particularly care to like pass down a generation because of like all my ailments, and I thought that was the responsible choice. But for some reason the entire internet has a different opinion on that. They want to call me mentally ill and like whatever, and like a sex addict or whatever, and doing freaky stuff and stuff. And it's just like, if only like people knew, right? If only like trans people could speak for themselves. If only like they had any idea like what I actually put up with. You know, my living situation isn't great. I have a terrible bipolar sister that, you know, treats me horribly. I have another sister that had a heart transplant, or not a heart transplant. She had open heart surgery, and then she needed another open heart surgery a few days later because they didn't sew her valves up right. And so like she needs a heart transplant potentially in the next like 10 years or so. And so like I have the stress of like all of this going on. I have a dad that had a quadruple heart bypass like 7 years ago, that smokes a pack of Marlboro cigarettes a day and drinks alcohol like crazy. And I have a mom that is on Ozempic and doesn't fully take care of her health and doesn't eat properly. And this is like my network. These are like my people that I have to like. So like I have a dad that goes out of his way to misgender me even after getting facial feminization surgery, just to make sure to like egg me on, because he knows that it always like gets me. It doesn't bother me so much when other people do it though. Here's the thing. I've put up with it. I have thick skin because I've put up with it. I have dealt with it for so long that other people's comments do not faze me in the slightest. The ones that hurt the most are the ones from the people that you think are the ones that care about you. So whenever that happens, it really cuts deep, right? So like, yeah, it's just, you know, I have my own preferences, and I'm just like waiting for the right person, right? And so it's so difficult because within the trans community, there's how many people on the spectrum that it seems to be like a common occurrence kind of thing. Am I one of those people? Probably in some way, right? As far as like trying to find somebody that's intellectual, the difficulty with that is like other intellectuals are looking for other intellectuals that have already succeeded in their businesses and whatever they're doing, like whatever financial situations that they're in. And they're not as interested in some random person out in the middle of nowhere. Most people don't want to have to travel. So like whenever it comes to city girls, they typically stick with other city girls. It's really hard to like get anybody to come out this way. But like I'm willing to make trips out to the city every so often. I really don't love driving around the city, but like I try to meet people, and then when I go to the city, then I get bailed on. And that's like been such a consistent thing. And I'm not even joking whenever I say it's like 9 out of 10 times. I hung out with this one girl one time that I just did blood work, and my throat was already really kind of dry because I drank coffee, and we went to like a coffee bar, and I got like a Reuben sandwich, a dry Reuben sandwich. I was trying to talk through it. I'm like, sorry, I can't talk and eat the sandwich. But then they kind of were like, okay, well, this isn't what I was expecting. I'm going to go. I had this instance where another girl traveled out here from Virginia, and we went to like the local casino to like just do something because there wasn't anything open at 2 a.m. And then so like they came out, we walked in, they're like, oh, can we go to like, the gas station and get some gas station food? This is what I was expecting. And so we went to the gas station, and they're like, oh, I'm not hungry. And like we took my car, and I'm like talking the whole time, but they weren't really giving me much feedback. And then like, so I got my food that I ordered, and then I drove her back to her car, and like on the way back to her car, she's just like, I shouldn't even like come out here kind of thing. And that just really hurt me because it's like, wow, okay, like what is wrong with me? What is so wrong with me that everybody just has like these harder opinions kind of thing? It's been really miserable. I'm just gonna be honest. It has been sad and miserable and lonely, and it's been very difficult. And as far as finding somebody that's like a good fit for me, oh my God, I'm not gonna get emotional, am I? Um, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot to not have the connections that you wish you did. There was this whole group of like poly girls that were local, and it was like, 4 to like 6 girls, and then there were other girls that kind of like came in and out of the situation, and then like I didn't want to get involved with that because I just didn't feel like, I'm the priority if I do. And some of the girls kind of branched off, became their own little like, thing, but like still open relationship kind of thing. It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. Then you have to worry about things like HIV. Then you have to worry about things like, and then you want to like make sure to be safe with things, but also at the same time, you don't want to like make that your whole personality or your whole life. And it's like, so I'm largely just like, I feel like I've gone so long without, being with anybody that it's like I'm back to virgin status or something. Like that's just how it feels, right? It's exhausting. It really is exhausting. It's taxing. And for someone like me to have this level of difficulty, I feel like should be an eye opener for a lot of trans women. Like if you're living in the middle of nowhere and you're struggling to find a relationship, and you're struggling to find a relationship that's a good fit for you, you don't want to jump into something that's like definitely not, right? You don't want to jump into something that you're going to be miserable, and you're going to be miserable, and you're only settling. I can't settle. And that's the problem with me. I would rather be single for the entirety of my life than settle for anything lesser than what I want and need out of a partner. I don't think that's like that tall of an order. I mean, but I guess it is. And so like whenever you, like I said, eliminate cis people from the equation, you only have that kind of 1% to date within. And then within that 1%, most of us are like in a poly thing, like I said, or yeah, XYZ. It's like, it's so much of being in my head with everything. I think it's just like, it's gotten to the point that like, hey, it wouldn't be bad to just be in like a couple little flings with people, but I can't get myself to do that because I don't want to like get sick with, like I said, HIV. I don't want to like put myself at risk for these things. And if you think I'm being obnoxious by saying that and just not getting on PrEP, I tried PrEP to try to get into like a relationship with someone, or like just be with somebody at one point. And I was in the ER after like 8 days. I was severely dehydrated. I lost 9 pounds since starting the medication, and I was struggling to like keep the medication in my system. It was poisoning me, or it felt like it was poisoning me. So it's something that I know that I have to like avoid. I know that like that's not the safest thing to do. So I can't just be out like sleeping with people. I can't be like, doing whatever for money with people and whatever. So like that's not like what I'm doing with my life either. And I know like that's also the takeaway that a lot of people probably have as well with like trans people. It's like that's not me. I mean, so I'm a unique case of a unique case of a unique case. Like, like I don't know where this all ends. I don't know who I end up with, if I ever end up with anybody at this point. That's how I feel. It would be really cool to get into a relationship with like an astrophysicist or like a mechanical engineer or somebody that has like, their stuff together to some level that like gets me. But like I said, I feel like those people are already in relationships with other people that are excelling in their own careers. They're living lavishly, and I don't want to get involved with somebody that has, drinks hard liquor or something and then ends up like being the person that you see on the news that like, murders their family because their mental health isn't always good, or they're not like at a consistent level with their like, what they're going through. So like, can you blame me? Can you blame me for wanting to be picky? And can you blame me for like, feeling like I deserve a certain level of partner? I mean, like, I get that, like, I'm not perfect. I get that I have my own health conditions. I get that, like, I don't have my stuff together. I live with my parents. It's not appealing. I can't, like, have people over. It makes it even more complicated without, like, risking somebody setting off and, like, saying certain things or whatever. And I don't want to expose anybody else to that type of negativity that I deal with on a daily basis. So like, I'm just like, I'm getting to the point where it's just like, how much more of this can I take of just being lonely and like with this whole situation, right? My wants, right, are to be in a relationship, but is it a need at this point? Has it developed and like grown into becoming a need? Because I feel like it's become that. I feel like having a partner that I can rely on, my parents aren't going to be alive forever. They're not the best. They're not the best. But they, like, my mom has her moments that she can be decent, but, and then it's like, I would just stop communicating entirely with my one sister if I could. I want to be there for my other sister, obviously, because she's been through a lot. So like preserving what I have, the level of innocence, I guess, and just given like the timeline that I did transition, I know that if I would have started hormones sooner, that I would have been more passing, whatever. I wouldn't have to worry about like what other people think as much, I feel like, in public. But at the same time, it is what it is in this situation. I'm working with what I have. What is life but a gamble anyway? Something that I kind of go off of, one of my life mottos. And if something is worth enduring, endure it. So I've been enduring for a very long time, waiting for that special person, right? I feel like that's how we need, like, that's how we look at it. Because otherwise it's like, this has been a very all-consuming thing. And so to not settle and to not, just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to hop into this polycule has definitely been a grind. It has definitely been a lot. And yeah, I don't have like a whole bunch else to say with that. I'm just trying to think over like anything else. Like it is just kind of cursed. It's just kind of cursed to live in an area that if you're taking care of yourself to a T and others around you aren't taking care of themselves at all, it just really seems like difficult. I know that like trans women have like different layers of like where they're at with things. Like I've had electrolysis. I don't have like facial hair. It doesn't bother me if a trans woman has some scruffy face. Like I don't mind that. But I also feel like I kind of, since I like haven't been able to like hit the gym as much, since I haven't been like as physically active and being able to be like, okay, this is, me at the gym and then like me coming home and like, okay, I can take like some like pictures that I'm like happy with kind of thing. I feel like I've largely stepped away from like taking selfies and posting them online lately for a few years. I think I've just been like upset that I lost my six pack. I lost like so when it comes to like my interpretation of like what other people think, it's like I've seen that like when I stop posting as much selfies online on social media that I don't get as much attention. It seems like a lot of people even within the community are, I don't want to say objectifying us, but like it kind of feels a certain way. You can be as intellectual as you want to be, or the problem with having opinions is that like too many opinions get you in trouble. And I do want to say too that like my experiences from being on Omegle and like interacting with random people, random guys that match on there, guys will just butter you up just to say whatever right off the bat. Like if I'm coming off as like passing enough for somebody, they'll just be like, "Oh, hey baby, you're beautiful," stuff like that. Or like they'll ask me to show them something. And that happens way more often than you think. And the moment that I do guy voice, they stop, they skip, they start calling me slurs. That's a big one. And what cis women don't realize is that like this is exactly the same way they would treat you if they found out you were trans. And so like this is kind of why I just don't like guys universally. There's a lot of reasons, but like I'm scared. I'm scared of that like testosterone driven energy. Like I'm delicate. I don't know what else to say with that. So there's that, right? And then when it comes to like social media, there's also like the division amongst us of like just having opinions on certain things that push groups of us away from each other. And there's also like a certain like hive mind of trans girls that like if you don't fall under that, then you kind of get pushed out a little bit, and the treatment is kind of similar regardless how you act, regardless what you do. You can be giving out personal information to trans girls, but also if you just happen to like not like something, you're just like excluded, you're blocked, you're removed, you're out of the circle. You get unfollowed, you have people posting pictures of your stuff saying like you need to remove this person now, and it becomes very toxic. So as far as like having a network, even as far as like finding a person, it feels largely impossible on social media because I've had a little bit too many opinions lately. But like it all comes from like, a good place. Like I wasn't malicious with anything. I feel like I've been depressed. I've been depressed lately, and it's a lot. It's a lot whenever you have like the entirety of the like online community saying certain things about you, making judgments about you, and then you have to go in the social world of people, and you don't know how people are going to interact with you, and then also just doing that on your own, doing that totally alone, completely solo, right? It's exhausting. It really is exhausting, and I hope someday like, hey, I actually meet somebody that's like a good connection for me, a good match. Is it going to ever happen? Like I said, I don't know. But yeah, this is just like my experience of everything. I mean, I guess there's a little like other little kind of things I could get into, but really nothing too crazy or worth even talking about. But yeah, I just hope like someday, right, that I find somebody, and I know I'm repeating myself a little bit too much at this point, somebody that's actually a good fit with me, somebody that actually gets me, somebody that can actually like understand, hey, like I know you're going through a lot, and like I want to like comfort you kind of thing, and do the same, like actually be there emotional support wise. Somebody that has like goals and aspirations in life, that actually like want to do something similar to like what I want to do out of life. And it's really hard. It is really, really, really hard. Then it just makes me think like, are relationships even like a thing? Like I know that like in life we've come up with the theory like that marriage is like a thing, and you have to get married and you have to have children and you have to stick with your partner, and then divorce rates are like 50%. So it's just like, is anybody really like happy with the idea of being with a partner, or is soloing life inevitable.